For more, let's talk about this with Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who is making her first appearance here. It's so great to have you here, lady. Over the weekend, several battleground secretaries of state, including Georgia and Michigan, they were asked about election night returns, and they said we should not expect results on election night. Are you as concerned as a lot of Americans and me about all of a sudden we've lost the ability to get accurate results on the night of the election? And if you are concerned, is it a matter of just getting competent state officials elected to these positions to fix the problem?
Well, we should expect nothing less. And if you look at states like Florida, states like North Carolina, where you have Republican legislatures, they've put in strong election integrity laws on the books to ensure that there's certainty for the American people. What we are focused on between now and Election Day is turning out every possible vote. So bank your vote if you're able to vote early in person. President Trump has talked about this. Just get your vote in. We are cautiously optimistic, but we cannot get complacent. We need to make sure that we turn out every single possible vote to run up those margins as much as possible. We are going on offense. You can see the Kamala Harris campaign crumbling. She can barely get through a day without a terrible headline or a terrible answer to the press when she does press interviews. So this is a clear contrast this election cycle, and voters need to know we need to turn out to vote to support President Trump.
You took me right where I wanted to go about this contrast. Now, I've observed this particular election, it's not so much about Republican versus Democrat, even conservative versus liberal. Both parties seem to be marshaling on both tickets. You know, I've said this election is about good versus evil, or to a lesser degree, America first versus America last. How do you see it, number one? And what do you make of Liz Cheney and other Republicans stumping to continue America's decline under Democrats?
Well, it is America first versus America last. I think you hit the nail on the head. President Trump has a proven record of putting Americans first, whether it's standing up for the American worker with the strongest economy ever in the history of our country, with the highest wage and salary growth because of his America first policies, or you saw the most secure border in our nation's history under President Trump with Build the Wall, ending catch and release, and restoring Remain in Mexico. Additionally, you had peace through strength with strong foreign policy, and you had peace around the world, whether it was the Abraham Accords in the Middle East or the only modern president where Putin did not invade another country. That was on President Trump's watch. Compare that with the failures and the America Last agenda and record of Kamala Harris. A wide open border, and she's Joe Biden's open borders are. You have an economy that is terrible and hurting hardworking American families, small businesses, and farms with the highest rate of inflation in our lifetime. And look at the wars around the world. You have our most precious ally, Israel, under attack from Hamas and Hezbollah, backed by Iran, which Kamala Harris has appeased throughout her vice presidency. And you have, of course, our adversaries seeing American weakness, and you have instances where Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine. So this is all on Kamala Harris's watch. It is a disgrace. And my comment about that disgraced former member of Congress, who I replaced in leadership as House Republican Conference Chair, there is a reason that voters overwhelmingly sent her home and elected somebody else, Harriet Hageman in the state of Wyoming. And it's because she does not prioritize the American people. She is so far out of touch and is becoming a parrot for the mainstream media elites that are attacking our American values. So I don't think it's going to be much help to Kamala Harris's already flailing campaign. And President Trump is gaining support, historic support among African-American voters, Hispanic voters, Jewish voters, working class voters, Asian American voters, and he is making inroads with undecided women voters as well.
True. And I want to talk to you, too, about this massive security breach, alleged security breach at the Pentagon. It involves a set of highly classified documents, including satellite images, regarding Israel's alleged plans to strike Iran. The documents first appeared Friday night on a Telegram channel based in Iran, frequently boasts about the axis of resistance. Several U.S. officials confirming to CNN, Axios, and others the documents appear to be real. And I also should point out that during the occupation of the Oval Office of Barack Obama, something similar happened, which prevented Israel from deterring Iran at that time. How are you reading these so-called leaks?
I think it's a disgrace, and this administration was not clear enough that they will get to the bottom of this illegal leak. We have seen this over and over again from Democrat administrations in the deep state, and it undermines Israel's ability to defend itself. It also undermines our relationship with our allies and partners around the world, where they feel that they cannot trust us when it comes to classified information. And what we heard from the podium at the White House, instead of saying we will absolutely get to the bottom of this, do a criminal referral referral and ensure it never happens again? They said, well, basically, we're going to work as hard as we can to try to ensure, to prevent this. They need to do much, much more. They need to have a criminal referral and make sure that doesn't happen. But my big fear and my hunch is you have so many pro-Iran deep staters that are working in the Biden-Harris administration that they're doing anything and everything, including leaking classified information, to undermine Israel's fight for its very existence at a time, most importantly, when the U.S. should be standing shoulder to shoulder with Israel.
You're right about that. I mean, President Trump had Iran, the number one state sponsor of terrorism, on its knees. And then, of course, when the Democrats come in, look what they did. They made sure it was flush with cash to be able to export terror anywhere they wanted. You know, we've been through this before, it seems to me, high number of, quote, leaks or investigations that have been allowed to grow cold. Just a few examples from recent memory. The Supreme Court leaker, the January 6th bomber, the cocaine at the White House. Nothing out of those investigations. Do you think the U.S. government has grown so incompetent that it can't do basic investigations, or has the U.S. government grown so corrupt that it's covering for the wrongdoing of certain government officials?
I think it's both. It is incompetence, but it also is corruption. And I've seen that firsthand. I sit on the House Intelligence Committee. I sit on the House Armed Services Committee. I was front and center during those two sham impeachment trials led by Adam Schiff, the disgraced member who was correctly censured. And you see the corruption in our intelligence agencies to function, unfortunately, as an arm of the Democrat Party and the Democrat administration. And they did everything they could to undermine President Trump, who was the duly elected President of the United States. So it is, yes, incompetence, but even more insidious is the corruption, which is why I've been so outspoken that we need to clean out the deep state. We need to hold these agencies accountable, and that's our responsibility in terms of our oversight capacity in Congress. That's not just another agency that is very guilty of this is the FBI. At every opportunity, we have seen corruption of the FBI trying to cover up their tracks rather than saying, you know, this individual broke the law when they leaked this classified information, or this individual doctored the FISA application, as you remember, leading up to the 2016 Russia hoax impeachment. We need to hold them accountable. And the frustration of the American people is, why haven't been people referred to jail? Why they have not been prosecuted and sent to jail when they have admittedly and publicly and are doing book tours about these classified leaks and inaccurate and illegal acts that were committed in these agencies?
President Ronald Reagan said about faith that it provided our country a prompting of the conscience. And you're seeing through the conduct of this government, they don't have a conscience. And I wanted you to weigh in on what I think is a revealing moment that happened last week. At a rally, a group of young people started shouting, "Jesus is Lord," at Kamala Harris. And here's how she responded.
And they did as he intended. Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street.
Congresswoman, when these Democrats are off teleprompter, they tell us who they really are and what they really believe. Your reaction to Joe Biden's VP there?
Oh, it is a disgrace. It is so revealing. Our country was founded on Judeo-Christian ethics. We are a Christian nation, and there is a reason why Catholics and Christians and Jewish voters are voting overwhelmingly for President Trump. And it's because Kamala Harris revealed so much. This was, I think, directly after she refused to go to the Al Smith dinner, which is a historic dinner to benefit Catholic charities in New York City that historically both presidential nominees, Republicans and Democrats, go to. She will be the first nominee since Walter Mondale not to go. And boy, does that show a lot. But the fact that she basically said that individual was unwelcome there, it is a disgrace, and they are welcome to support President Trump, and voters will overwhelmingly support President Trump.
And last thing I have for you. Over the weekend, 60 Minutes put out a statement in defense of their heavily edited interview with Kamala Harris. Quote, 60 Minutes gave an excerpt of our interview to Face the Nation that used a longer section of her answer than on 60 Minutes. Same question, same answer, but a different portion of the response, end of quote. President Trump is accusing the left wing and bias network of election interference and says that 60 Minutes needs to release the full transcript. Where are you about Republicans taking a stronger stand and standing up to the just in-your-face unfairness of the majority of the press?
Well, first of all, President Trump has been spot on. He has called out the absolute bias in the mainstream media, and he is exactly right that 60 Minutes must release the full transcript. It is a disgrace. These institutions are really exposing how deep their rot is and that they function as an arm of the Democrat Party. I've been proud to take on the mainstream media over and over again, whether it's their biased, inaccurate coverage of Republicans, including myself, but all the way up to President Trump. President Trump is right to call them the fake news because they are peddling whatever talking points the Democrat and the left provide the media. The media functions as stenographers. And that's why you're seeing the American people look for alternative news sites. That's why you're seeing news stations like the great Newsmax grow in terms of people are looking for actual news and actual facts rather than talking points from the left.
Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure having you. We'll talk to you soon.